Hello everyone, no respawns here. Hope you're doing well. So we're back in Civilization 6, and in this video let's have a look at Theological Combat, which is a new and very awesome feature that definitely needs some tweaking, but it's fun already, but it could be made a little bit deeper. So the way Theological Combat works is it enables your religious units to actually attack other religious units. But the great thing about this is it doesn't count as a military action. So in essence, it won't even, obviously, in this instance, everyone does hate me, but that's because I'm not really, other than old Frederick there, though he is the kind of arsehole who likes to randomly declare war on you, even if he's your BFF. Anyway, but it doesn't count as a military action, so it's not declaring war on someone. Now, the way it works is two units can instigate theological combat. So you've got the Apostles and the Inquisitors. You can also defend against theological combat with a missionary, but they can't instigate it themselves, so they're very vulnerable to getting ganked on by Apostles and Inquisitors. And that's the first, my possible criticism a little bit of theological combat is right now it is very much a gank fest, because of the fact there isn't much nuance with it, and generally speaking a tough apostle is just going to murder everyone, and an Inquisitors, to be completely honest, you're better off just going with Apostles and just tanking everything or attacking everything than necessarily with Inquisitors, because they're not actually very good. They're okay. For example, this one here is going to do quite a lot of damage to this Apostle. The only reason, though, is you can see right there, it's got plus 35 in friendly territory. So they're good defensive deterrents to enemy missionaries. Anyway, so the way it works, let's have them now. So we just attack them like this. It's worth noting they do actually have to be of different religions. That may seem quite an odd thing for me to focus on, but basically this is an early save from an old game. I eventually converted Novgorod, and they, for whatever reason, decided to make an apostle that I couldn't attack because it was Protestant apostles, the same religion as me. The only problem is he went straight for my, I don't know if this was deliberate, but he went straight to my holy site and just never left until I randomly eventually got into a war with them and was able to kill him. And I couldn't actually spawn. I could still spawn units in the city, so it was fine, but it meant that I had to keep, when I spawn a unit, I'd have to then wait for the next turn to move it out before I could then, I couldn't like spam missionaries, so it was a pain in the bloody ass. Just a quick note, might be a good idea to maybe keep at least one religious unit on your holy site at all times. Let me just finish this guy off. It says C. Beat him up with my apostle. Now, the way of theological combat, see, that's almost readily apparent. Most players will notice that, oh, okay, this is how it works. What you don't realise is healing your units. And this was something I didn't realise until I started pouring through the Civpedia, because I was like, there must be more to theological combat. There is. Now, when I hit next turn, these units will heal themselves by the start of the next turn. That's because they're adjacent or on top of a holy site. Yeah, see, it begins already. It begins already, Frederick. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you. Such a dick. Such a douche. You're lucky I feel bad when I reject anything you ask me to do. He puts this really sad face on. I feel guilty. So they will heal up. Let me just quickly go over here, because it seems, I think it's the turn after. It takes a while. You heal about the same amount as if you set them to heal. I think it's if they finish, because that didn't heal up. I think it's if they don't do any actions that turn, no. Oh, look at his little face. Broke his little heart. But it's just something that's maybe not made massively apparent, and this is enabled, because basically if you didn't, I hadn't known how to do this in the past. There we go, so they healed up. I might have to, I think the apostles take longer. They've got more health, so it might be prudent for me to move him down there and move him in over there. But it's one of those things that unless you know that that's how you heal them, you can get in a situation where you're paying for very expensive apostles to maybe be a defensive, because I'm playing a huge map, so I don't particularly like going religious victory on a huge map, just because it's just such a mind-numbing back and forth with the other major religions. So I just play a tanky religion. I did on this save actually try and do religious victory, but normally, from now on, I play a tanky religion. So what I do is I have eventually at least one apostle and an inquisitor or two next to around my holy sites, and they're basically just, you might have to have it where you will have to leave the vicinity of your holy site and then attack the kind of gank the religious units. But if you're really clever, what you can do is you can try and at least funnel them next to your holy sites. The reason being, because if you're playing this just defensively, so if I'm just like here, and instead of instigating an attack, I actually just let their apostles and the... Wow, this only really works for apostles, but I let the apostles attack me, then that won't count. That'll count as me not making a movement that turn. So even if they attack me, I'll immediately be healed back up for the next turn. However, they won't, so they'll take kind of attrition damage. So it's quite a cool function. I think there are definite improvements that I can almost guarantee that Firaxis will make. For the starters, right now it is very ganky, as I already said, so it's really just a case of your best practice for taking units out is either to get an apostle. I think it's not this one, this is the one that can do extra spreads, that one there. Later down the line I got an apostle which does more damage in theological combat, and also you can get a few civics that actually boost it as well as you can change your religion to a theocracy, so you end up being quite tanky and tough. But it is still ultimately quite ganky, in the fact is that realistically just kind of 2-3 apostles can, in a group together, if they attack things in mass, could usually take something down. And there's no, range or anything like that. My hope, I would really like it, because of the fact that there is, I believe there's a Crusader civic that enables you to purchase units with faith. And I think that's part of the theocracy as well. I know there's a Crusader named civic anyway. It would be cool potentially if we could have military units that were Crusader units that could maybe engage in theological combat as well. I think that would be an obvious and very enjoyable choice. Like maybe you have them where they work like Inquisitors, where they can't actually convert cities, but they can destroy other units with theological combat. And that means they would then be victims to other units' theological combat. So you could have it where you have, for example, the swordsman here is a crusading swordsman and can then actually attack missionaries without declaring war. But that also means that, say, another missionary or another, say these guys here were a crusading archer, they could then attack them. So you could almost basically have 2 crusading armies attacking each other without actually the civs being in a formal war. So I think that would be potentially quite cool. I actually quite like that idea. Firaxis, do that. That's a really good idea. Do that. Maybe you could limit it if it maybe gets a bit too OP and say you'd have to convert the city, maybe make it more defensive. I don't know, but it will be interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys found that useful and kind of educates you in the idea of theological combat. Definitely go for apostles, is my personal preference. I just like to have a quick Inquisitor, because one, for this video I wanted to demonstrate the power, but also they are useful for ganking. They're a good defensive, but if you're maybe, for example, going to another civs area, having a nice group of apostles together will be better. Anyway, right, yes, I hope you enjoyed that. As always, follow me on Twitter at norespawns. I'll have another Fallout video soon, as well as more civ videos. I've been spending a lot of time playing this game, so I've got loads of kind of topics and reclarifications, and soon we're going to get into more discursive videos, which slightly as this one has been. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll talk to you lovely people soon. You take care.